Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Mishna Yomi Iyun. Today we started Perek Zion, Mishnah Aleph. We're going to talk about Mishnah Aleph. Um, this Mishnah discusses eating truma of a Kohen b'mezid. You're not supposed. Yisrael takes it b'mezid and he eats it on purpose, right? He knows it's truma. He knows it belongs to the Kohen. He says, "I want it anyway." Right? It looks like a nice bottle of wine. These Kohanim, they have fancy bottles of wine, of truma wine. I want the bottle of wine. So he takes it and makes it. So there's a lot of differences between taking b'shogeg. First of all, there's no chomesh, which is pretty good. You get out of chomesh. I did it on purpose, which is worse, presumably, than shogeg. I don't have to pay chomesh. If you did it with shogeg, pay chomesh. Secondly, hatashlumin chulin. Secondly, that when you do pay him back, right, it doesn't become truma, right? The halacha is that you did with shogeg, you give chulin to the kohen, and it becomes truma. Here, doesn't become truma. I mean, it doesn't really have effect on you. In fact, on the kohen doesn't have to. If it becomes tameh, he gets to let it eat it. And a third thing, which is also a beneficial thing to do with mazid, is if you did a b'shogeg and the kohen says, "I don't need it back," you still have to give it to him. Here, he could be mocha. Like, could say, "I don't want it back." Your pardon. Comes out very strange that it's actually it's more machmir the halachas when it's done b'shogeg than mazid. What's the difference? So let's go back to our explanation of the ownership of the Kohen on his truma. When you give him truma, I mentioned that he has ownership, partial ownership. He has the shalom but not bershuso, meaning it belongs to him. He's the bailam, he's the owner, but it's not bershuso. It's not in his rishus. It's in rishus of Hashem. It's in the domain of Hashem. To what does that have an effect? First of all, it becomes tameh. He can't eat it anymore. Secondly, he can't be mochel on it because the value of it, the actual food itself belongs to the kohen, but the value, which is the reshuso, right, to be machlif, the switch it with something else. I don't have ownership to do whatever I want with it. I don't have ownership on the value. I have ownership on the actual produce itself. And therefore, when you repay that, it's not that you're repaying the chov. What you're doing is replacing the truma. When you give the chulin, it becomes truma. It becomes that thing you took. What's the difference? The idea is that when you do a b'shogeg, you can't be called a ganav b'shogeg. I believe this, that if you think that it belongs to you and it ended up belonging to the kohen, you're not a ganav, you're not a thief. You can't be called a steal. Geneva, perforce, means that you did it on purpose. If you didn't do it on purpose, you're not a ganav, you're not a gazlan. You know it's the other guys and you're taking it. It's intentionally done, so you're a ganav, right? Now you ate it, so it's gone from the world. So because it started off as a geneva, so therefore there's a mitzvah in the Torah, v'heishav es hagzela, right? You have to return the gzela, which applies to geneva also. You have to return it. Geneva, you have to pay kefil also. You have to return that. So now you ate it also. It's gone from the world. So it doesn't make you a mazik, right? Even though you ate it now, we're still principally you're called a ganav. You did it b'mezid, you're a ganav, you're a thief. You have a v'heishav es hagzela. So what you're doing is when you're repaying the truma to the kohen, is it's not that like if you do a b'shogeg. So when I took a b'shogeg, I didn't know it was the kohen, so I didn't do anything. I wasn't a ganav yet. Then when I ate it, so I'm a mazik. A mazik could even be b'shogeg. If I destroy something by onus, b'shogeg, you're responsible. But adam muad olam, the Gemara says, even if he mazik by onus, is considered a mazik. Adam muad olam, he's always a mazik. Adam. So you're mazik someone's produce, you're a mazik. So in the case where you do a b'shogeg and then you eat it, so you're considered a mazik. When you're a mazik, right, you're destroying. You're not a ganav. You don't have to return it to him, but you destroy the value. So you destroy the value. Who owns the value? Hashem owns the value. So what do you have to do? You have to replace it. Hashem, you replace Hashem. Replace to what Hashem? Hashem wants the kohen to have truma. That's what Hashem wants. He doesn't want it for himself. He wants the kohen to have truma. So you have to restore that truma to the kohen. Give it back to the kohen. And therefore, when you give it to him, it becomes truma in its place, right? It's restoration of the actual truma. And therefore, the kohen has no right to be mochel because it's the value over here. You're mazik the value of it, and that's why Hashem wants him to have truma. The kohen can't say, "Oh, I don't want it," but Hashem wants you. Hashem wants to have the truma. But when you steal it, so then you're taking the shalom. You're attempting to take the shalom, the bailus from the kohen. That he does own the kohen. The bailus, v'heishav es hagzela. So even when you eat it and destroy it, it's gone from the world. You're still a ganav. You have to do v'heishav es hagzela. You have to replace the gzela, and replacing the gzela is not exactly the same thing as what we term replacing the truma. What you're doing is restoring the truma. What you're doing is you're replacing what the kohen had, and even though he doesn't own the value of what he has, but he does have a right to be returned what you stole from him. You stole his shalom, and you have to pay back his shalom because it's gone now. If the item was still here, you can give it back to him, but now it's gone. You have to replace it with something else. It's not restoration, but it's a replacement. and you have to replace it. But again, it's the Cohen's, because it's not the value over here that you're replacing. It's the actual truma that you're replacing, and the Cohen has shalo on that. It's Geneva. You took it from him, right? He can't really lose his shalo, because that's what the Gemara says, that if you steal something from someone, both can't be mocked. Zeb b'shul shein shalo, zeb b'shul shein b'shuso. Right? When you steal something, it becomes in your rishus, but the shalo belongs to still the owner. He never loses ownership over it, but you try to take it away, and you have to replace it. Because now it's gone, so you have to replace it with the Kohen. But the Kohen has the right to be mochel. It's his shalo. That's what you're took away over. Geneva goes on the shalo. Hezek goes on the value, on the reshuso. So therefore, the Geneva here, we're principally talking about Geneva. You did it up in Mazes. There's a Ganav over here. So therefore, now it's gone. So it's not called a mazik after the Geneva. It's just a Geneva. It's not be'en anymore. It's not around. You have to replace that, not restore it, replace it. So therefore, the Kohen can be mochel, and you don't have to pay a chomish over here, because it's not Hashem's that what you took. You didn't take Pershu, so you didn't take the value. Chomish is a penalty when you took the value, something to Hashem, Kodesh, right? You desanctified what belonged to Hashem, the Pershu, so the value of Hashem. But here, you took the item of the Kohen, so you didn't do anything. You didn't do any me'ilah klape Hashem, so there's no chomish over here. There's only restoration, replacement. You give back that. If the Kohen wants to be mochel, it's up to him, because it's not the value, it's the actual item that has to be replaced. Hope you enjoyed today's share. I think it was very informative and very integral understanding of Terumos. See you tomorrow.